This is your one first defense against a romance scam. I want you to watch this clip from a news story that prompted this episode.
CBS's Jim Axelrod meets a daughter whose mother was ensnared in a romance scam that cost her far more than her life savings.
Kelly Gow is a daughter searching for answers.
I have an appointment with Detective Jeff Phillips
About what happened to her mother. Laura Kowal, a 57-year-old retired healthcare executive who was widowed in 2015 and moved from Chicago to the small town of Galena, Illinois.
She had all these buckets full in her life, but there was this one bucket that was missing of having a relationship.
So Laura, like 3 in 10 adults have done, turned to online dating, creating a profile on Match.com. She matched with someone who called himself Frank Borg, and who used these 2 pictures stolen from a Chilean doctor. Frank claimed to be a Swedish businessman.
And I know there's a lot of people out there saying, well, how could that happen?
64,000 Americans were taken for more than $1 billion by romance scammers last year, more than double the $500 million it was just 4 years before. When Kelly got a call from a federal investigator,
Kelly?
Yeah.
Deputy Tavarthan with the Sheriff's Office. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
she raced to her mom's home, only to find it empty.
You must have been freaking out.
I was.
A search for a missing woman. Laura Cowell was last seen on Friday.
Turning the house upside down, Kelly found emails detailing a fraudulent investment scheme involving a fake company called Goose Investments. CBS News reviewed hundreds of emails from the scammer, laying out an elaborate scheme. Over the course of nearly 2 years, Frank convinced Laura to send him $1.5 million. But Goose Investments wasn't real. Frank wasn't real. And buried in a file cabinet was this note from Kelly's mom. I've been living a double life. Yes, it involves Frank. I tried to stop this, but I knew I would end up dead. Laura's body was found in the Mississippi River, more than 200 miles away. The medical examiner called it death by drowning, never ruling homicide or suicide.
So many questions. Maurice?
So many questions is right, Jim. Thank you.
At the core of most romance scams is something that we, as especially trauma survivors or people who have lost loved ones, recovering from divorce or the loss of a spouse or partner, we're in a very vulnerable state at that point. What we do is, as this lady did, we say, okay, I'm too old for this bar hopping mess, so let me just go ahead and go online and sign up on one of the dating services. Okay, so far, all right, not much problem. But where the problem comes in is that we fail to understand that there's no computer algorithm that can weed out riffraff and ulterior motives. No computer algorithm will pick up when there are nefarious intentions on the other end of the typewriter. We have to understand that when we're on these dating services, we are playing roulette. I'll leave out the Russian roulette thing. It can get that bad, but you're playing a Vegas game, a game of chance. You're playing blackjack with the big wigs. You have to look at these dating services. I don't care who it is. I don't care how reputable they are, how long they've been there, how many days of filling out questionnaires and answering questions it takes to finally get through the onboarding. process. It doesn't matter, okay? Because all you're doing is playing blackjack. So the algorithm's passing you out your card. In a game of blackjack or any other card game, you have no control over the cards you're dealt. Kind of like life. You get the cards, all right. You pick up those cards, and from the moment you pick up those cards, the goal of the game is that you have to strategically play the cards you're dealt. Now, I've never been a good card player. Games and stuff take too much thinking for me. My brain doesn't work like that. But my understanding is that whether you're playing with a partner or not, the cards you're dealt are the cards you play. And if you're in a game where you can discard and pick up more, you discard 2, you pick up a couple more from the deck, or you discard 2 and ask the dealer to give you 2 more. You have the responsibility at that point of how you play those cards. Whether you keep the cards, whether you're going to fold, or whatever it is, the responsibility is yours. Dating sites are no different, y'all. We need to understand that we have a responsibility to ourselves to play the deck that the system has dealt us. There's no guarantee that whatever matches are made for you are matches from people who are of good character or well-adjusted. Let's say for just well-adjusted here, okay? The way I look at it is this. Garbage in, garbage out. I can't be any more truthful with you than I am with myself. And in the case of people with nefarious intentions who join these websites, they're going to use somebody else's picture or put in wrong information. They're hiding behind this persona, okay? But it gets down to even the fact that somebody who thinks they're actually filling out an honest questionnaire can only be as honest with you and answering those questions as they are with themselves. And if they're blinded by about who they truly are, then you're going to get the wrong match. Okay, so let me quit talking around Miss Ellie's house here. This is what happened to me. I've been on one website, on one matching site, one time, period, all my life. And this is what soured me on the thing. I answered question after question after question after question. By the time you get through this process, and this site will remain nameless, okay? By the time you get through this process, you think, oh man, that I probably, I'm not going to get any junk out of this. So I matched with a couple of people. They were already in relationships, or they said they were too far away, whatever. But I matched with this one guy. Now, to me, the guy looked promising. My first mistake was going off the platform. Instead of progressing as the platform suggested you do, we went off the platform and started talking by phone and emailing and stuff. Well, eventually, he came here, we met, we had a great time, we traveled a lot. The relationship went on way too long than it should have. It went on for 4 years. Now, in the middle of this 4-year progression, it began to break down. He was pouting a lot. If he didn't get his way, he was very argumentative, loud. We got into arguments because I might have said blase splee. He heard blase woo and wouldn't come off of hearing blase woo no matter what I said. It just was awful. And at the worst part of the relationship, something said, look up narcissism. Never crossed my mind, okay? But I said, okay, I'll look up narcissism. And he ticked every single box. And it was a fight for my sanity the whole time. The last 3 years of that relationship, it was a constant battle to maintain my sanity because I refused to feed the narcissistic monster. I wasn't going for the emotional manipulation. He didn't know what to do with me. Long story short, I ended that relationship 10 years ago, and it was so traumatic that I haven't been in another one since. And that was on a very reputable site. Now, I am not going to lie to y'all and say that, as things progressed, that I didn't see the red flags. But at the time, this was me. Make that square peg fit into this round hole, no matter what it costs. This was me back then. Ignore your gut feeling. This was me back then. So traumatized and so caught up in PTSD that I wouldn't stand up for myself. So it went on longer than it should have. I don't blame the website for that. I don't blame the reputable website for that. I blame the fact that I didn't believe that I deserved better. I just took the cards that were dealt me and acted like I had no power to play them. Having experienced that, it never gone back, came off of that site, it never went back to another dating site, okay? I'm not saying that you can't find a meaningful relationship here. I'm saying that you are likely to have to go through many of the cards that are dealt you in order to find that relationship, okay? Now, this is what can happen, and this is what romance scammers count on from us. We're caught up in our trauma, wearing our hearts on our sleeve. In the case of the clip I just played for you, she was grieving the loss of her husband. Now, that probably was a solid relationship that went on for years, and now she's missing what she had in that relationship, reaching out to a website to try to make a match with somebody that's going to give her that. But this is where we make our mistake. Caught up in our trauma or the grief or the pain, instead of having a truthful, trusted other in our lives that we can talk to about our feelings and work that out in that trusted relationship, we're spilling our guts to a stranger. They are very well versed in how to manipulate your emotions, but they have nothing to go on unless you give them that. In this case, she just lost her husband and she's lonely and she's missing the thing that a man would say to her. She's missing her husband's arms around her. I mean, grieving is grieving, and that kind of loss I've never known. Okay, but it could just be somebody older that's been through a divorce, and maybe they were in an unaffirming relationship. They finally cut that loose. But you got to take time to work through your own emotions enough to be able to sit in the face of a stranger and not spill your guts. Everything you tell them, they are going to use against you if they have nefarious intentions. They count on us to talk about, I'm never going to put up with this. My last relationship, he did this to me. And I'm never going to do this. And I'm not putting up with that. And I'm this, that, and the other. Even just something like that, give them the script to manipulate you. They are going to adjust their behavior to meet all the needs that other joker didn't. But it's a facade, y'all. It is not real. They're telling you what you want to hear. And so what I'm saying is, aside from understanding that the responsibility is yours to vet your matches and listen to the red flags and the warning signs, and to slow down the play until you know that this person is well adjusted and not a scammer. You have to take that time. And that means that you cannot upchuck the boogie about everything that somebody did wrong to you. First of all, that's a warning sign on your part, because if you are moving into another relationship before you dealt with the fallout from the last few relationships, then what you're doing is you're caught up in your trauma and you have not resolved it. We have to resolve that. And you're never going to resolve it through another relationship. Now, to all of my listeners who are over the age of 50, at this age, we pretty much should know who we are unless the trauma hasn't been resolved. We pretty much have impetus to determine what we will put up with and what we won't put up with in our lives, okay? And when you come to that determination in your life, and it's not fueled by anger and bitterness and hurt, that you settle on the truth of who you are in that regard, I'm asking you to then draw boundaries with yourself. No, I said with yourself. No, I did not say this is how you draw boundaries with knuckleheads. Because guess what? If you are in a relationship through an online dating site or not, whoever this person is, if they are stuck on stupid, it doesn't matter how much you talk about your boundaries, they are never going to get it. Talk too much, keep talking, frustrating yourself, getting mad because they ain't getting it. So I'm not talking about drawing boundaries with other people, because any time you draw a boundary with other people, there's still that point of control that they have to honor that or not. Drawing a boundary doesn't mean you're going to make a joker do anything. Understand that. Nobody in this world owes you step into your boundaries just because you said that you had drawn that boundary. Everybody has a right to choose to step to that boundary or not, to honor that boundary or not. So I'm talking to you about boundaries you draw with yourself. You have every control over whether or not you are going to honor that boundary. You need to understand, number one, what do I want in a relationship? What am I looking for? What is my love language? How must I be treated? You have to decide this up freaking front. Okay? What are my top 3 core values? What are the things that matter to me? What are the things? Is it family that's more important to you? Is it your career that's more important to you? Is a me time and alone time more important to you? What are the things? I'm asking you to just boil it down to your top 3 values. So now you know what you want in a relationship. You know what's important to you. Now, draw your boundaries based on that. I will never continue a relationship with someone who, fill in the blank. I will never allow myself to, fill in the blank, when, fill in the blank. And it's all around your top 3 core values and how you want to be treated. Period. Okay? So now that you've determined what your top 3 core values are, what you're expecting in a relationship, what your love language is, okay? Then you got to determine, now how am I going to know whether someone is willing and capable of those things? Understand, willing and capable. There are people that we get into relationship with who are incapable. It doesn't matter how much they want to, wish to, say they will. If they are incapable of that action, it's never going to happen. So you got to determine if this person that's in your life on any relationship level is capable. All right. If they are incapable, move the heck on, okay? Please, don't put yourself through that. Don't be mad at them. They're just incapable. And they may not admit to themselves that they're incapable. They may not admit to you that they're incapable. They may not admit to the dating website that they're incapable. But you got to make sure that that's the whole point of talking to people and communicating and your first dates and whatever the heck it is to determine, are they capable? So if they're incapable, move on, okay? Then there's willing. You got to determine, are they willing to honor my boundaries? Are they willing? So in other words, you've determined that they are capable. You've eliminated the incapable, and you've determined that it looks like this individual is well adjusted. They got good character. You know, they're caring. They look like to me that they are capable of the things that I expect in a relationship. So now you got to determine, are they willing? Because now it's out your hands, okay? You can't make them, even though they're capable. You have to determine, are they willing? If they are unwilling, you put them in the incapable file. Incapable, unwilling. And you determine whether somebody is willing or not by what they do, not what they say. What they do, not what they say. Okay? And as this plays out and you begin to see the red flags, yeah, they clearly ain't willing. Don't be mad at nobody. Dodge the bullet. Step on. Step on. All of these things are in your control to do, but if we are too needy and if we haven't dealt with and been honest with ourselves about our past, our part in it, and how we can avoid that, you're gonna walk into another toxic relationship. So I'm just saying, understand what you want, know what your top core values are. Don't ignore when somebody's incapable, run. And don't ignore when somebody's capable but unwilling, run. Don't take it personally. They're just walking through life as they are. They didn't become unwilling or incapable because you stepped into their lives. Get a clue. That's who they are. Move on, okay? Now, returning to the clip we just watched, if you would just hold back telling anything about your vulnerabilities to these people, they would have absolutely nothing to go on. The weakness, I'm just thinking about computer security and IT security. One of the ways that people try to get through all the gatekeeping that most information technology systems have is, oh, they got to get to one joker sitting at their desk and manipulate them. One joker sitting at their desk and manipulate them. They call it social engineering. And that's exactly what the romance scammers do. And the one thing you can do to protect yourself and not even get caught up in that is quit telling people how to manipulate you. Stop it. Quit it. And even if you go there and you let them know where your weaknesses are and how to manipulate you, how to smooth talk you and everything, the minute they ask for money, it's a scam. Hello, it's a scam. Very intelligent people. They can be highly educated. Doesn't matter who we are vulnerable to this. So don't make the mistake of thinking that just because you out here and you got all these degrees or you can't nobody this and can't nobody that. No, because that's a weakness that's going to let them in. Please, you guys, I'm begging you, protect your hearts. Do not start telling strangers where your weaknesses are. Don't do it. And if you do it and they ask for money, it doesn't matter how they're smooth talking you, you have to run. Because what you didn't get in this particular clip is the fact that women who have fallen for these romance scams One woman, she fell for it. She didn't give the guy any money, but she went into this, okay, you can deposit this in my account and then I'll do this for you and do that for you. And now she's in trouble with the FBI because she's been complicit in money laundering. The woman who was in this particular clip, she also was in danger of being complicit in money laundering. So it's not just about protect your heart, and it's not just about, in this case, $1 million or more that this woman lost on top of losing her life. It's about the fact that now you're complicit in the game. And they always say ignorance is no excuse for breaking the law. And so now you got that on your back. They done sucked your bank account dry. They have disappeared on you because there's nothing left there for you. And now you got to deal with the courts. It's just sad. And like I said, two things. Don't think that you're above getting caught up in this because you think you know everything. I ain't saying I know everything, but I know I'm broke and they can't get a dime out of me right now, so I'm probably not a target, okay? I'm just saying that if you have money and they're asking for it, don't do it. If they want you to let me put this in their bank account now and take it out, and then we got to send it over here and do that, and I'm going to send you that. No, that's too busy. No, I ain't got time for that. Nope, just don't do it. Now, I know I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this, y'all. I know y'all going to probably poo-poo it. People going to say you must be crazy. I ain't thinking about you. I'm going to say it anyway. Okay? You will know within 6 months who a person is. I don't care how well they keep up the facade. I don't care how well they act. They could be looking for their Oscar on the way they act. Within 6 months, the facade will crumble. And so I'm saying you have a better chance of being able to walk away from that if you haven't put your heart in that. This is all about cutting your losses before you put your heart into something. And if you go to bed with somebody, then you have crossed a line that's going to make it difficult for you to cut them loose. So when I say protect your heart, I'm talking about you will protect yourself from exposing your vulnerabilities before you know who this person is. You will not get all deep into that relationship physically before you know who this person is. Because this guy that I met on the reputable dating site, this joker told me up front, he got a Rolodex. Now, okay, so for y'all that are not baby boomers like I am, a Rolodex was an address thing that was shaped like a barrel, and you would turn it and the cards on it would flip and everything's alphabetical. So it was like an address book, but it would roll instead of like open like an address book. So he told me that he was using that site as a Rolodex. And that if one relationship didn't work out, then he would just go to the next. Now, I'm not the type of person to be sneaking behind you, going through your wallet and all that. I got to do all that. That's a warning sign. I need to be the heck up out of there, okay? So I'm not going to do that. So I wasn't going online trying to see is he still on what other kind of sites. I ain't got time for I just ain't doing it. Call me wrong. But that just ain't how I live, okay? And so I didn't know, but he told me. I'm using it like a Rolodex. One relationship, and when he's a narcissist, so one relationship ain't working out. So he's just going through every address on the Rolodex, right? He told me that up front. I ignored the crap, right? I should have been drawing a boundary with myself where, nope, we ain't doing this. Bye. It ain't about, nope, you got to come off of. Nope, can't be using that as a rollback. I can't control what he does. So I can control the choices I make. And it should have been, I should have been out of there. Period. You have to develop a tribe of people that are truthful, trusted others that you can be vulnerable with and get that stuff out. And that's a very small group of people. It might be just one person. This is another warning sign. They're going to separate you from your family. These romance don't tell that this woman in this clip, she didn't want to tell anybody. It's a big secret. If you're in any relationship and you feel like or have been told that it has to be a big secret, don't tell anybody, or you're ashamed of it, where you can't talk about it, cut it loose. Cut it loose. It is not healthy for you. They mean you no good whatsoever. Once a manipulator gets you isolated, they don't have to worry about good sense coming from outside forces. The woman in this clip, she hid all that. Remember, the lady's daughter found this confession letter buried in a file cabinet. She didn't even mail it. So don't be isolated from everybody. Find somebody else to talk to, and please give yourself time to heal before you go on these dating sites, and understand that you have no control over what that system spits out at you. You got to play your cards wisely. Always remember your greatest power is realizing the truth of who you are, and know that truth.